So I would like to make a list of the top 5 greatest enemies of the one and only Godzilla. Just for clarification, this is all in my opinion. There really isn't a list on this, so... First up, at number 5, we have Gigan. I really had a hard time choosing this between Gigan and Space Godzilla. However, I eventually settled on Gigan for a reason that I will explain later. So Gigan has appeared in 2 movies and 1 short film, and has fought Godzilla in all 3 of them, being a formidable opponent. Except in Godzilla Final Wars, where he was just destroyed twice. So, yeah. Although that was one of the more powerful Gigan versions, but he really did not do well in the fight. Gigan was also in Godzilla vs. Megalon, but I forgot to mention it, so I'm mentioning it now. In 4th place is the living incarnation of the Oxygen Destroyer, the weapon which was used to kill Godzilla in the original movie. We have Destroya, the perfect life form. Destroya earns this spot on the list for being easily Godzilla's most powerful opponent. Except for maybe the Planet Eater, but at the Planet Eater's full power, it's literally unkillable, so Destroya it is. Destroya is one of the few monsters in a Godzilla movie able to defeat and kill a member of a Godzilla-like species. That being Godzilla Jr., who still managed to hold his own in a battle against Destroya when Destroya was in one of his weaker forms. Destroya is a group of pre-Cambrian era life forms that were mutated by the Oxygen Destroyer in 1954 and have been evolving since, and during a point in the movie Godzilla vs. Destroya, they merged together into a form of Destroya that can fly, which is one of his many forms. This is not all of them. This chart is missing the 5th one and final one, which is the one that you saw earlier. Destroya was able to take several blasts from the Infinite Heat Ray, which was shot by Burning Godzilla, who was one of the most powerful. Godzilla's was one of the most powerful atomic breaths. Fun fact, Burning Godzilla at 2 different points in the movie was able to destroy Earth in 2 separate ways. I will now show a clip of one of the ways that Godzilla could have blown up the planet. Why does it sound so epic with this music? So Destroya would have to be pretty durable to take multiple blasts from the atomic breath of a Godzilla that was capable of doing that. Coming in at 3rd place, we have Mothra. Now before I continue, I just have to say, hear me out! Mothra is a kaiju that has appeared in a staggering 16 films. Yeah. So this is why she is put in this position, and it's the same reason why Gigan is in the 5th place position. The reason that Mothra is higher up on the list is because A, she is in more movies, and because she actually puts up a decent fight every single time, unlike some kaiju. Also, Mothra is the one who kills Final Wars Gigan the 2nd time. The interesting thing about Mothra is that she often helps Godzilla defeat other monsters, such as King Ghidorah. Actually, that's pretty much the only one she helps him beat. A lot. But sometimes, because she is always on the side of good, she will attack Godzilla, such as in Godzilla vs. Mothra and Mothra vs. Godzilla, which are 2 separate movies, and also Godzilla Tokyo SOS. However, Mothra dies in almost every single movie that she is in, so this kind of hinders her place on this list, even though I probably wouldn't have put her any higher otherwise, just because of who's next. Next up, in 2nd place, we have Mechagodzilla. I would like to go in depth on this one, and I would like to start with the original Mechagodzilla, also known as Showa Mechagodzilla. This is the first iteration of Mechagodzilla to appear, being created by aliens, and it was made out of space titanium, fitted with weapons that were incredibly powerful, and it was originally disguised as Godzilla until Godzilla came in, until Angirius woke up and exposed it, and then Godzilla came and tried to destroy Mechagodzilla, and failing, but he needed King Caesar's help to do it, and then they defeated him. However, he then returned in the next movie, Terror of Mechagodzilla, with Titanosaurus, a prehistoric sea dinosaur which was massive and looked nothing like a dinosaur at all, which then Godzilla still won after a difficult fight. The second iteration of Mechagodzilla, also known as Super Mechagodzilla, is made from the remains of Mecha King Ghidorah, which came from the 23rd century back to the past to try and defeat Godzilla, which it successfully did. However, it did not kill Godzilla. And after the humans made Super Mechagodzilla, they put a very, very protective armor around it made of synthetic diamonds. Well, not necessarily armor, just an outer coating. And when Godzilla tried to fight it, he could do barely any damage to it, and almost died, and would have died more than once, if not for the help of Rodan, who was not intentionally trying to help. However, he did, and ended up sacrificing himself so Godzilla could win the fight. And now for the third iteration of Mechagodzilla, which is my personal favorite, the Kiru. And I know I butchered that name, I am sorry. The Kiru is a mech constructed around the remains of the original Godzilla, which died to the oxygen destroyer in 1954. And it was sent to fight Godzilla during the movies Godzilla Against Mechagodzilla and Godzilla Tokyo SOS. It was equipped with a single weapon that defied the laws of physics. I mean, it had more weapons, but it only had one that broke the laws of physics, and that weapon was the Absolute Zero Cannon, which broke the laws of physics by reaching the temperature absolute zero, which is impossible in real life. During the Kiru's first fight with Godzilla, the original Godzilla's consciousness was reawakened, and the Kiru went on a rampage, destroying the city until it ran out of battery. And that was during Godzilla Against Mechagodzilla. But at the end of the movie Godzilla Tokyo SOS, its consciousness is regained back to the original Godzilla. However, instead of going on a rampage, it ends up actually winning and permanently defeating Godzilla. However, not killing him, but defeating him and trapping him in a trench, along with the Kiru itself. I forgot about Cyber Godzilla, which is technically the third iteration of Mechagodzilla, and the Kiru is the fourth. However, I really don't know anything about Cyber Godzilla, so I'm just gonna show a picture of it. I will also not be counting the Ready Player One Mechagodzilla, just because I don't believe it has anything to do with Godzilla. Now we have Mechagodzilla City, which originated from the head of this thing, which honestly would have been much cooler to see than just a city that just sat there and did pretty much nothing the entire movie. Now for the Singular Point Mechagodzilla, and again, pretty much nothing on it, except that it is made around the bones of a previous Godzilla, and that the three guys in this picture are in on the project. Do not get me started on the guy in the back. Don't you dare even think about it. That guy is so confusing. And now finally for the Legendary Era Mechagodzilla. This Mechagodzilla is made from heavily armed materials created by Apex Cybernetics, a company creating it to destroy Godzilla and restore humans as the Apex species. And they power it up with a hollow earth energy power source, and Ghidorah's skull is what is allowing this Mechagodzilla to be powered, and the extra burst of power reawakens Ghidorah's consciousness and it goes berserk, absolutely ragdolling Godzilla until Kong comes in to help, and Mechagodzilla short circuits because of water being poured on some of the controls. And Godzilla supercharges Kong's axe, heating it up very much and a lot, so that it can easily slice through the metal armor of Mechagodzilla, defeating it. And now for the number one spot, being taken by King Ghidorah. This has nothing to do with favoritism, okay? Please don't attack me. Ghidorah has been in 11 movies, both fighting the king of monsters, being Godzilla, and the queen of monsters, being Mothra. And has defeated Godzilla once in the form of Mecha King Ghidorah, who has actually successfully defeated Godzilla. No monster has ever once soloed Ghidorah without the help of another monster or a human landing a critical blow to Ghidorah, or some human intervention allowing Godzilla to gain the upper hand, or to prevent, dying. So, plot armor is pretty much the only advantage Godzilla has against Ghidorah. The original King Ghidorah, also known as Showa King Ghidorah, was in 4 movies and required at least help from one other monster and humans to be defeated. Godzilla first needed the help of a Mothra larva and Rodan in the first movie that Ghidorah was in, and in the second movie, Godzilla only needed Rodan and some humans. In the third movie, Godzilla just had like 5 other monsters help him fight Ghidorah, and Ghidorah just got trashed because that's a completely unfair fight. And then in the next one, after Gigan was defeated, Godzilla and Anguirus just absolutely pounded on Ghidorah. I mean, Ghidorah did fight back pretty effectively, but still, they did a pretty good fight, causing the monster to flee a third time. The second iteration of King Ghidorah, also called Heisei King Ghidorah, I'm pretty sure that's how you say it, was created when 3 creatures called Dorats, which were genetically engineered, I think, in the 23rd century and brought back to the past to create King Ghidorah, which was a secret motive, find the people who went back to the past, who were apparently trying to quote-unquote remove Godzilla and save Japan. When they removed Godzilla, they just replaced him with King Ghidorah to destroy stuff. And then Godzilla somehow is back because plot armor. Like I said, that is his only advantage. And when they met up, Ghidorah almost killed Godzilla when he was under control of the people who time traveled back to the past. And even when he wasn't, Ghidorah still almost killed Godzilla. And then after Ghidorah lost, he came back as Mecha King Ghidorah and actually ended up winning the battle. And next up is Death Ghidorah, who is technically not Ghidorah, however, is similar and is just a complete offensive powerhouse, being able to ragdoll 2 Mothras at once and come out victorious. However, until one of those escapes and becomes a much, much more powerful Mothra, it is capable of easily dealing with Death Ghidorah. And next is Grand King Ghidorah, who is the more powerful cousin of Death Ghidorah and is actually under the category of King Ghidorah, and basically is immune to all of the strong Mothra's attacks that was mentioned in the previous one, which is the Mothra that killed Death Ghidorah. It is basically immune to all of its attacks, and even when that Mothra tries to go back in time to fight Grand King Ghidorah as a child, it still almost dies. So even Grand King Ghidorah as a child is almost enough to kill the second most powerful version of Mothra. And after that Mothra kills King Ghidorah as a child, it somehow returns in the future because that Mothra cut off a piece of its tail using a laser, and that tail regenerated an entire new body. And the Mothra that did it could not return to the future, so basically cocooned itself and came back in the future to kill the second Grand King Ghidorah as the most powerful version of Mothra in existence. The next iteration of Ghidorah is GMK Ghidorah, which is the weakest of them all, and is a guardian monster. But once all 3 of the guardian monsters die, being Baragon, Mothra, and Ghidorah, all of the spirits go into Ghidorah's body and become King Ghidorah, which is much stronger and gives Godzilla a run for his money. And Godzilla was in deep trouble until a human launched a drilling missile into one of Ghidorah's necks, causing a major injury. And that basically was when the tide turned to Godzilla's favor. So, yeah. And next is Kaiser Ghidorah, which is the second most powerful version in existence, being able to completely ragdoll Final Wars Godzilla with no effort at all. And Final Wars Godzilla is one of the most powerful Godzilla iterations, so him being able to ragdoll that one easily is definitely a statement. Godzilla had to receive a Kaiser power-up to allow him to even do damage to Ghidorah at all, which, as soon as Godzilla got that power, Ghidorah just died. However, before Ghidorah became Kaiser Ghidorah, he came down as Monster X, and Godzilla and Monster X were perfectly matched, so Monster X became Kaiser Ghidorah, and then previous events happened again. The previous events that I mentioned happened. And now for the Planet Eater, which I mentioned earlier in the video. The Planet Eater is a version of King Ghidorah from an alternate dimension that is worshipped by the Exif, and they basically summon it on planets to bring what they call peace, which is honestly a really dumb idea. Why do they do this? Come on, just do something intelligent. Anyway, when Ghidorah basically defies all of the laws of physics, being able to cause gravitational fields and messing with the space-time continuum, absorbing heat while the molecules are vibrating, which if you have learned about heat, that's basically what generates heat when molecules vibrate rapidly, and also being able to just be completely untouchable. So yeah. And also the fact that, for some reason, once a single little small disc is broken, Ghidorah
And now, finally, for the legendary era King Ghidorah.
Kills him instantly.
The legendary era King Ghidorah is found frozen in a block of ice for an unknown amount of time, and is woken up by the Orca, a device that mimics Titan or Kaiju bioacoustics, basically making them respond to the sounds in certain ways. So after Ghidorah wakes up, Godzilla comes, they fight, the humans find out Ghidorah is Godzilla's ancient rival. So Ghidorah and Godzilla fight at Isla at a separate time. They send the Oxygen Destroyer to kill both of them, however, it only kills Godzilla, as Ghidorah is not of this world, or he's from Venus, I think that's the planet. Ghidorah also becomes king of the monsters, as Godzilla is dead at that point. Well, not dead, but extremely close to it. And then Dr. Sarazao goes to sort of revive Godzilla with a nuclear bomb, plot armor, to basically allow him to be revived and fight Ghidorah again. So they go to Boston. Ghidorah fights Godzilla more and whatnot. And after a while, Godzilla apparently got, the energy on him turns red, and then Mothra gets killed by Ghidorah, so Godzilla is able to have a way to expel this energy in a thermonuclear pulse, which Ghidorah survives 3 of, and then his middle head is placed in Godzilla's mouth and gets atomic breath. So, yeah. Goodbye.